Aikido. What is it? Does it work? And why does it spark so much controversy? Let's begin by asking ourselves a question. Where did the name Aikido come from? I means harmony, peace, alignment, and unification. It means that in Aikido we are peaceful. It's better to avoid a confrontation, but when it comes to touch, then we adapt to our opponent's movement. Ki means energy, movement, and our eternal force. We must use energy in our fights. Energy can also mean focusing and readiness. We must focus on our uke's movement. That's why we always look at his chest. When we look there, we can see his moves, especially his arms moves. Do means path, way, in development. It means that we don't work out to just protect ourselves. Training is process with no end. The point of that is our progress, not reaching the summit. This is the path to perfection. So what actually is Aikido? Aikido is martial art based on self-defense. We must remember that in Aikido we don't look for a reason to fight. We really don't want to fight. That's why there's no Aikido competition. So if it comes to confrontation, we move into the opponent's movement. I mean, when opponent is attacking us, he can choose many ways. If he's going to push you forward, then you let him go the way he wants. As I said earlier, one of the means I in word Aikido is alignment and Ki is movement. Alignment to opponent, move into his movement. The point of this martial art is learn fast reacting and using the full strength. Aikido is not about using a lot of force. Sometimes all it takes is a quick reaction and use yuki tension. It is really effective. Well, okay. So, does Aikido even work? That's a good question. I've come across many opinions that Aikido looks like dance. Okay, I admit it. It's kinda looks like dance. But that is only an appearance. In other martial arts, they are teaching you to use strength and fights, for example, on the ring. Aikido shows that you don't have to be really strong to protect yourself. And of course, it's important to strengthen our hands or legs because we need strength, but not that much. That's the point. But we use maybe 75% of our body and 25% of our strength. During training, we can see that many techniques can be applied against taller, shorter, or stronger people than us. That's why there's not only one technique, but so many of them. Only because it's our technique that doesn't work on somebody because he's shorter or taller does not mean that Aikido doesn't work. Circumstances. It simply should not be used in such circumstances. Aikido has wide selection techniques depending on attack, position, speed, and strength. In internet, there are so many experts in this martial art, although they have never trained it. They usually say some kind of stuff like Aikido doesn't work, Aikido is just acting, or Aikido is useless. Why? People have watched a lot of fake videos. Some kind of this doesn't work. It's just making fun of Japanese martial art. Just stop believing in those nonsense. People also watch a lot of shows. Shows are not a real fight. It is just a demonstration of the beauty of Aikido. Some people are doing techniques on the shows slower or faster, but it's still just a show, not a real fight. To show you a real fight is an Aikido, there must be a real opponent, not your friend from dojo. Our Ukon training knows that you'll do something and know how, but not every time. Your opponent is walking on the street with some kind of stuff in his mind like, I will attack her, and no, she will defend herself. Third of all, people are sometimes watching soft and beautiful Aikido. This kind of Aikido looks so beautiful. This is Aikido. And this is soft and pretty Aikido. Looks a little bit different, yeah? People also think that Aikido makes no sense just because they didn't like it. Maybe people just prefer attacking to defending, and that's absolutely alright. Please stop hating on Aikido just because it's the sport that is not for you. Resistance. One more thing that I actually agree with that is that you don't see much resistance from the uke. That's true, but not always. During training, we usually try to offer resistance only when necessary to teach the person the correct technique. You have to show respect to every martial arts. Some people who train martial arts don't want to become masters or really great fighters. Some people do it to improve their physical fitness. They enjoy beauty of martial art or thinks that this is really fun to take part in competitions. You can't call yourself a real fighter if you don't have respect to others' martial arts or you make fun of them. Let's end this war and let people training whatever they want without worrying about whether it makes sense or no. Arigato.